You still have love for Wendy?
Of course. Of course. Of course. I have an enormous...
It would seem that Kevin Hunter, who was formerly married to Wendy Williams, is no longer eligible for further consideration. This person is likely to be evading the authorities because they do not have a place to live, are in need of medical treatment, have a significant amount of debt, and do not have the means to pay their expenses. Today you're on the Celeb Culture channel, and we'll talk about what's going on between Wendy Williams and her ex-husband. Bear in mind that he has lately pleaded with the court to have Wendy Williams' alimony payments returned, and that he has also successfully convinced the court to consider his case, claiming that the producers of the Wendy Williams show wrongly terminated his contract. Keep in mind that he has also been successful in convincing the court to hear his case, alleging that the producers of the Wendy Williams program wrongfully terminated his contract. In addition to this, the house husband is now the subject of yet another investigation that might result in his jail. Girl, he could be in a position right now where he needs all the money he can get. You were there as Kevin Hunter's fall from grace took place in front of your own eyes. Because Kevin allegedly disregarded the bank's attempts to pay off the sum on his credit card, the financial institution in the United States has taken legal action against him. Kevin allegedly made an application for a Visa signature card in the year 2014, as stated by UBS. Kevin, on the other hand, violated the terms of the agreement by failing to make the necessary payments. According to the documents filed with the court, UBS also said that Kevin owed more than $20,000 in addition to attorney's fees for failing to make the required minimum monthly payments on time, as outlined in the card participants' agreement. Since Kevin's situation is public knowledge and everyone knows what would happen to him if he doesn't pay, it's not hard to figure out that he's trying all he can to get his hands on some cash. Kevin has previously utilized Flex Wealth to sell his house for $1, $3 million, and finance 2 luxury autos. Flex Wealth was his broker for both transactions. He just severed ties with Sharina Hudson, the person with whom he shared the property in Parkland, Florida, that he had purchased in 2020 for $795,600. And the house that he bought after Wendy's separation is the one that he just recently sold to someone else. This effectively condemns Kevin to a life of homelessness from this point on. After his first attempt to get Wendy's money was unsuccessful, he is now exerting every effort to accomplish so. In addition to that, Kevin had, in the past, done all in his ability to ensure that Wendy Williams' bank checks were never in short supply. Even though their prenuptial settlement agreement said, "I am in arrears on most of my bills," he still had the nerve to sue her and claim in court documents that he was fully dependent on alimony payments. He did this despite the fact that their prenuptial settlement agreement stated, "I am in arrears on most of my bills. Due to the fact that I live in a community that requires homeowners association fees to be paid, I am now overdue on those payments." Following Kevin's filing of the case, the court came to the conclusion that Wendy was not required to resume writing Kevin's alimony checks at any point. After concluding that the situation did not need immediate attention, the court finally decided that Kevin's petition ought to be thrown out without prejudice. The judge also rejected Kevin's request to cover Wendy's legal fees, directing him to the couple's divorce papers, which stated unequivocally that Wendy would terminate her contract with the Wendy Williams talk show without Kevin's consent if it was not renewed and/or was otherwise suspended, canceled, or terminated.
I don't recommend that you work with your husband because I made him my manager, and then when I decided to divorce him, he had to be fired. In other words, I made him divorced and unemployed.
Her ex-husband Kevin and Sharina are no longer together, and you know what that is.
Well, come on now.
The money gone.
What you thought was gonna happen?
The
And
money.
I read about it in the blogs and the tabloids, the address of this place that he had purchased to share with this backwoods.
The judge ruled that Kevin was not required to cover Wendy's legal fees. Kevin recognizes and understands that any severance payments are terminable and are subject to alteration in the event that the network decides to screen another television show and give her a similar compensation. In this scenario, Kevin would be entitled to a comparable amount of money. According to recent reports, Kev has just made another court appearance and pleaded with the judge to let him continue paying alimony so that the couple may retain their house. Despite the fact that Wendy was engaged in a dispute with Wells Fargo over the ownership of her assets, worth many millions of dollars, Kevin allegedly continued to assert that Wendy had unfairly stopped paying him alimony. Keep in mind that Wells Fargo froze Wendy's accounts out of fear for her mental health. The bank had suspicions of financial exploitation, dementia, or improper influence. Wendy went on an angry rant about how that wasn't right.
The thing is that I've been asking questions about my money. And when I began asking questions about my money, suddenly Lori Schiller has got no response regarding my money. I want my money. This is not fair. And Wells Fargo has no questions and answers with regarding my money. This is not.
Kevin, according to court records submitted by his attorney, had been working behind the scenes on Williams' past enterprises and had utilized his business savvy and street smarts to get a far larger cash settlement for Williams than was originally provided. The Tandem Hour was dominated by Wendy Williams' show today, as it has been every day this week. In this time slot, no other TV program has been able to compete. Kevin claims that, as executive producer from 2007 to 2019, he had a significant role in the show's success. In his case, he claimed that talks for the Wendy's talk show started in 2007 and that the program was a success during a 6-week trial run. He admitted to being the brains of Hot Topics and Wendy's Shoe Camp. Kevin also claimed final say over the guests' marketing strategies for boosting the show's ratings, developed a media setting, served as a conduit between the show and the African American community, and encouraged progress. Kevin also claimed that the producers' plans to incorporate several aspects of Wendy's program into their new talk show with Sherry Shepherd were illegal in New York. The court denied the producer's motion to dismiss the case, which essentially argued that his dismissal had nothing to do with the success of the show and everything to do with his marital status and impending divorce from Wendy. Kevin's lawyer also responded, saying, "Mr. Hunter is pleased that the court rejected Wendy's producer's motion to dismiss and that he will eventually see his day in court. Mr. Hunter played a crucial role in ensuring the success of the Wendy Williams program even before it premiered." Fortunately for Kevin, the judge in the civil case cited the letter of dismissal that had been provided to him, noting that it did not include any performance-related grounds for Kevin's termination, or the choices made about Kevin's executive producer job. Shaw's attorneys failed to convince the court that Kevin's case included more than just marital discrimination under New York State human rights legislation, thus their petition to dismiss was denied. However, the production company's legal team argued that the legislation does not cover discrimination based on a person's married status. Kev will get his day in court because of this, but it doesn't mean he's in the clear just yet. In addition to being without a house, Kevin is allegedly quite lonely. Kevin and Sharina, our former spouses, are reportedly no longer an item. And can you explain what it is? Okay, enough of that. None of the cash remains. Recently, however, it has come to light that Kevin is the source of these leaks in an effort to rekindle his relationship with Wendy and access her financial resources. Given that Wendy is now in charge of little to nothing, Kevin, like others who have worked for Wendy in the past, may have sensed an opening to re-enter her orbit and profit from it. Kev Jr. has already informed Son that Wendy's health has taken a backseat to the project's success for those around her. He said that Wendy's friends and family just care about her financially and aren't concerned about her physical well-being. If you ask Kev Jr., everyone they recruit is a flaw waiting to be exploited. However, the youth. Is Big Kev serious about reconciling with Wendy? How likely is it that Wendy will accept him again? Kevin has a good chance of receiving compensation from the Wendy Williams show's creators, regardless of the outcome. But if I know Kevin, he won't put that cash to good use. However, until then, he has nowhere to go. Is Kevin's plan to sue Wendy Williams once again, as well as the show's creators, a good idea? Is it likely that he will succeed in this case? What do you think the likelihood is that he will spend time behind bars as a result of the several lawsuits that have been launched against him? Please feel free to share your ideas in the space provided below.